That's right, I'm a runner and I have low carb breakfast. But wait, you and I know that carbohydrates are the fuel we need to generate energy for running, right? That's correct, but it's not the end of the story. I'm going to show you 5 breakfasts that I'm having every week. I won't pretend these are the best possible breakfast in the world, but consider what happened to me in less than a year when I started having these breakfasts. I was 50 at the time. Now, do you think that would benefit your running? I bet it would. These breakfasts are not zero carbs, they're just focusing more on proteins and fats and good nutrients. So there is a common part and then a variable part, which I'll show you 5 of them today. So the fixed components are, first of all, coffee with milk, 200 ml of milk, which contains good proteins and good fat and many other nutrients. I have a big banana. I'll typically buy bananas from the Canary Islands, which are a bit more expensive, although it won't break the bank, and they taste richer and the texture is also better. Complete that with about 40 grams of tahini. Tahini is a paste made 100% of sesame seeds, full of good nutrients like calcium, magnesium, a lot of fiber. Sesame seeds also contain quite a bit of good protein and good fat, healthy fat. Plus they have some antioxidants and anti-inflammatory benefits. And don't forget a big glass of water, which I complete with around 12 grams of collagen. Collagen is useful for us athletes and for everybody in general, especially after 50, to repair the muscles and the tendons damage. Hydration is very important in the morning, especially after 8 hours of sleep. Your body is quite dehydrated. Collagen doesn't really have a taste, so you can choose any taste like chocolate or lemon or whatever. I like to choose a taste that is not clashing too much with the rest of my breakfast. Do make sure you find a brand of collagen that is easily dissolved and does not create lumps. Also know that there are different types of collagen. What we want as athletes is type 2. With these only would be pretty good already. It's already quite a bit of calories. But now let's add the specific variable part of the 5 breakfasts. Breakfast number 1, chia seeds pudding with black grapes. So I take 50 grams of chia seeds, but be careful and start with 10-15 grams and then increase progressively as you get used to them. Chia seeds absorb about 10 times their volume of liquid, so you must absolutely dilute them in liquid. Otherwise, if you take them just like that, they will stick to your GI system and try to absorb the humidity from your stomach and your bowel, and you will soon feel the distress. So don't do that. So what I do is I prepare the pudding the night before. Make sure you stir it a couple of times in the first 5 minutes just to make sure it doesn't accumulate at the bottom or the top, and then stick it in the fridge during the night, and that's it. Chia seeds don't really have a taste. That's why I add about 50 grams of cinnamon or a couple of teaspoons, and then top it with some nutrient-rich berries like blueberries or even strawberries. I prefer black grapes because they have a higher sweetening power. I find at least black grapes are also rich in antioxidants, just like blueberries, but they also have the resveratrol in the peel. But in fact, I do alternate with strawberries because I'm not able to find black grapes all year long. So the chia seeds contains a lot of fibers, good proteins, fatty acids like omega-3, antioxidants, and they also really help reduce the blood pressure, bad cholesterol, and they're said to help reduce anxiety too. So the purpose is to first get a high amount of good quality proteins, then to get fatty acids like omega-3, a complete range of vitamins, especially vitamin E, D, K, and vitamins of the B group, antioxidants to sort of help combat aging, also anti-inflammatories, because as athletes we need to take care of our muscles and our joints. Especially as runners, anti-inflammatories help us recover from hard workouts and long runs and races. Minerals like magnesium, which is essential for energy production. Calcium for our bones, which suffer a lot from the pounding of running. Zinc and selenium that are essential for the production of hormones like testosterone, which in turn regulates how our muscles recover and get repaired after hard workouts. Now, if you're a female athlete, don't worry. Having all those minerals won't increase your level of testosterone. In fact, these minerals are also essential for female hormones And if, like me, you're an athlete or a runner, or you just have an active life, especially after 50, having a good intake of vitamins and minerals is essential for the good functioning of your cells and mitochondria inside the cells, which is what produces the energy to keep you active. So it's not as simple as getting enough carbohydrates to keep you moving. You also need the vitamins and minerals. Now let's continue with breakfast number 2. That's super easy. It's hummus with almond. No preparation at all. Just mix almonds with hummus. That's typically the breakfast I have when I don't have any fresh ingredients in the fridge, or I forgot to prepare the chia seeds the night before. Hummus is a paste of chickpeas and a little bit of sesame. Now, if you like to cook and you want to make it yourself, go ahead. It's not that difficult, but I buy it in the supermarket. And I try to find one that has at least 70% of chickpeas. Try to find one that doesn't contain too much salt. And if you find that hummus has got too many calories, then maybe a lighter option is hummus mixed with a proportion of eggplants. That's what I usually have, or at least I alternate, because also it changes the taste and the texture. And then almonds. Almonds don't only add the crunchy touch to this breakfast, but they're also delicious and very nutritious. Make sure you buy almonds that are not fried and do not contain any added salt. Just plain almonds, raw almonds with the peel. Now, as alternatives to almonds, which are very easy to find, I use from time to time Brazil nuts, which are perhaps more difficult to find. Brazil nuts also contain a high amount of calories, perhaps even more, but they are very tasty, and the texture is different. They also contain selenium, which is a very interesting mineral, which is essential for the production of testosterone. Now again, testosterone is essential for our muscles' health, and for that we need not only selenium in a small quantity, but also zinc and copper. First of all, there's the obvious. Even as a runner, you may want to lose weight, and low carb is a good way to get you started on your weight loss journey. In fact, losing weight is one of the primary reasons why many people start running, and this is also one of the reasons why I started running just before I turned 50. And second of all, I also have high carb breakfast indeed, especially on race days, workout days, long run days. But the rest of the days are actually easy runs, easy days, rest days even, or gym days. And on those days, we can forget about high carbs and focus on high quality proteins, fats, minerals and vitamins and all the nutrients that are very essential, especially for us 50 plus runners. The other reason why I like to have low carb breakfast on my easy days is that I know that I will have enough carbs at lunch and also at dinner. So breakfast has a good opportunity to focus on those good nutrients that are otherwise more difficult to get for lunch and dinner, because then you might have constraints like you might not eat at home, or you might have to share your menu with your family or other people, whereas breakfasts are sort of more controllable in a way. Breakfast number 3, avocado with white tuna. When I can find them, I like to eat light avocado, which is called light, but it's actually much bigger. So in terms of calories, it ends up being the same or perhaps more, but I like them because they have a different taste and a different texture. It's like more mellow-ish. And they have a nice vivid green color. I mean, the peel is green. But if you cannot find them, then normal avocados are just fine. Just be aware of the calories. Then I use canned white tuna because it's relatively cheap and it's also very easy to find and to store. And it's just readily available to eat. Now, I used white tuna in brine. Don't use white tuna in oil unless you want the extra calories and the benefits of the oil, like the fatty acids, in which case I would recommend olive oil. But I use tuna in brine. Don't throw away the brine, just mix it because it makes it more mellow and easier to eat and interesting texture, not so dry. If I can, I try to use long-finned tuna, which is slightly different from white tuna in that it is a smaller fish and therefore contains less mercury. But otherwise, if you cannot find it, normal tuna is fine as long as you don't eat tons of it every day. Avocados are an excellent source of vitamins C, E, K and B6, as well as riboflavin, niacin, folate, pantothenic acids, magnesium and potassium. They also provide lutein and beta-carotene, which are essential for your eye health, and omega-3 fatty acids, which are good for the heart, which obviously we want as athletes and runners. And finally, vitamin K is essential for our bone health, which obviously as runners, and especially after 50, we need to take care of. The tuna will bring healthy proteins and is also rich in omega-3 fatty acids and essential vitamins like B12 and vitamin D. Now, whenever I can, I try to buy ecological produce and local produce too that has not traveled around the world to get to my kitchen. Breakfast number 4 is smoked salmon with ricotta cheese. Again, here try to find good quality produce. I try to buy smoked salmon that is naturally smoked and not processed with chemistry to imitate the smoking process, like many of them are. Also try to find one that is not too salty and not too greasy either, because you don't want it to dribble all over your fridge once open. Now, if you really like DIY and cooking, you can actually smoke the salmon yourself. It's not that difficult. Similarly, I try to buy good quality ricotta cheese from a good brand. Now, ricotta cheese is not always that easy to find everywhere, so if you cannot find it, perhaps cottage cheese is a good alternative, or curds. So this is a super easy breakfast. There is no preparation at all. Basically just eat both ingredients together. Salmon and the cheese combine very well together. What I like to do is to make like little rolls with the salmon and the cheese inside, and that's it. If you'd like to add extra color to it, you can pour some dill on top, or chive works well too. Now, interestingly enough, smoked salmon contains more protein and less fat than fresh salmon. It's a good source of phosphorus, selenium, copper, iron, zinc, and potassium. It's also an excellent source of vitamin D, and it is rich in other vitamins like E, B3, B6, and B12. And of course, as you might expect, fatty acids like omega-3. So overall, it is good for your heart, your skin, and even your mental health. And most importantly, as athletes, it's good for our bones, muscles, and joints. The ricotta cheese here, or cottage cheese, is basically a low-calorie cheese that I use in this breakfast to combine with the salmon and bring some creamy texture, while at the same time it brings interesting proteins and vitamins of the B group and interesting minerals like a little bit of selenium, phosphorus, and of course calcium and zinc. Delicious breakfast overall. I have it every week, at least once or twice. And finally, breakfast number 5, an omelette with cured loin. Now, this is the only breakfast that requires a tiny little bit of preparation, but honestly, it cannot be simpler. So just grab a frying pan, heat it up to the max, whip 3 large eggs or 4 medium, pour it in the frying pan. You don't need to add extra fat. I mean, if the pan is good quality. Otherwise, if you do need to, then prefer olive oil. Basically olive oil, because it's the only oil that resists high temperature without degrading. And that's it. I mean, I'm not going to make a tutorial on how to cook an omelette, but it's very simple. Don't add any extra salt. You can add pepper or herbs like parsley or whatever if you like. The benefits of eggs are very well known, and that's actually why they form part of every good low carb or keto diet. Omega-3 fatty acids, good proteins, vitamins, E, D, B12, B2, B5, minerals like selenium and phosphorus, and basically all the essential amino acids in the right proportion. Now then, slice 100 or 110 grams of cured loin. It's better if you do that before the omelette, because otherwise it will get cold. Try to buy extra good quality. This is an expensive produce, but it's so good and it actually contains good proteins. It's also very handy because you can keep it in the fridge for several weeks. So what I do though is I remove the big lumps of fat if I find them easily. I don't go crazy about it, but I try to remove the animal fat that is not so interesting, except perhaps for the taste and texture if you like it. Now, this type of cured loin is a typical product from Spain. If you cannot find it where you live, then perhaps find any sort of cured meat that conserves well in the fridge and contains good protein and not too much fat, and basically something that you like. In fact, that's a breakfast that I like to have when I'm traveling because I like to try the local sort of delicatessen. Now, one last piece of advice: don't mix the cured ham or whatever delicatessen you're having with the omelette. I mean, in the preparation of it, because that would be a shame, especially if it's good quality. I much prefer to taste the real taste of it. than cooking it. Also, if you heat it, it will sort of dry, and then the concentration of salt will be higher, so it will be much more salty. Anyway, then just eat it and enjoy. Low carb breakfasts are just a very reliable way to get all the nutrients you need, and they're also delicious and super easy to prepare. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't have plenty of carbs at lunch and dinner, because you need them indeed for running. Anyway, that's what I'm doing. And if you like this video, then you may also like this one, where I discuss not only the benefits of running, but also I try to find the more profound reason why I and you should keep running.